Good morning and welcome to Meet the Experts. My name is Amanda Pearson and I'm a patient family specialist in the Patient Library and Welcome Center. Thank you so much for joining us for this special Meet the Experts Facebook Live, Strategies for Living Well with Cancer Using Mindfulness and Meditation. We have our Moffitt expert here today to answer all questions and share tips on mindfulness and meditation. Joining me is Sharon Locke, Patient Wellness Coordinator in Integrative Medicine Program here at Moffitt. She's been working with Moffitt since 2009, supporting patients and caregivers in finding greater ease in their body and mind through yoga therapy, meditation, mindfulness, and relaxation therapies. She enjoys making these mind body therapies simple and accessible so that anyone can participate at any point in their cancer experience. Before we get started, we have a quick reminder for our audience. Please submit your questions in the Q&A section and we will do our best to get to as many as possible. Please keep in mind that we cannot offer personal medical advice or make diagnosis via Facebook. And additionally, Facebook is a public forum and any comments or questions asked here are visible to the public. Any information you share on our social media site is not protected and has the potential to be redisclosed. So now I'd like to welcome our expert, Sharon.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So we'll be exploring some mindfulness-based strategies that yourself, or perhaps you're supporting someone else, maybe personally or even professionally. We can all benefit from learning some mind-body skills or tools to enhance our overall well-being and quality of life. So in our session, we'll talk a little bit about mindfulness. It's a word that's thrown around a lot these days. So let's kind of talk about what that is and what it isn't. We'll also clarify some misunderstandings and misconceptions that people often have about meditation and mindfulness. A key part of our session today is to actually learn and practice 3 core mindfulness skills. Experiential learning is always our best teacher. So we'll be sharing those simple techniques with you this morning, and then allowing some time to share some resources and any questions, feedback, comments from you at the end. So let's dive right in. I will be sharing some slides, so hopefully you do have access to a screen so that you can enjoy some of the visuals that will actually accompany this presentation today. So if you take a look at the picture here, have you ever noticed that you're doing something, you're doing one thing, yet you're thinking about something else? So maybe you're driving and you get to your destination and you can't really remember any part of how you got there. It's very common. Maybe you're having a conversation with someone, but already rehearsing what you might say to them and not really listening to what they're saying fully. In this graphic, the little stick figure is walking, but, we may be walking in one place, but we're rushing forward to the next moment. And so we have this sort of energy of rushing or not really being present with where we are or who we're with. So how often does that actually happen? So a number of years ago, some scientists at Harvard did a study, and they discovered that we're actually distracted just under 50% of the time. So this was actually done a number of years ago. Now, with kind of the popularity of smartphones, that number perhaps could be even higher. But it means that half the day, half the week, half the year, half our life, we're not really paying attention to what we're doing, where we are, or even who we're with. The study also was really interesting because it measured well-being, and it discovered that people felt happier and more content when they were engaged more fully in what they were doing, even if what they were doing was a very kind of mundane, everyday task. So what we learned from this study is it's quite normal and common to be distracted, And yet being distracted really diminishes our overall well-being and quality of life. And this is one of the reasons why mindfulness has actually become so popular, because we can learn how to be more present for life and learn to enjoy even those ordinary moments. So, what is mindfulness? It's a little bit like saying what is art or what is love. It's not an easy word to define. There's quite a few definitions, but there are some common features and attributes. So, mindfulness is about bringing awareness to whatever's happening in the present moment. So, it has a present moment quality to it. Um, it also has a quality of suspending judgment. We're usually very quick to judge things as good or bad. I like this, I don't like this. This is right, this is wrong. And yet, with mindfulness, we can learn to create a little bit of space so that we can see our reactivity to things and perhaps respond more skillfully. Maybe when someone cuts us off when we're driving, or someone says something, we want to kind of snap right back. So, mindfulness helps us create a little bit of a pause before we respond. And mindfulness has a quality of wakefulness, waking up to life. So, it really means it's the opposite of taking life for granted. So, just to spend a little bit of time on clarifying some of those misconceptions, be quick with this. One of the common misconceptions is that if you meditate or practice mindfulness, your mind is just empty, your thoughts will just disappear. Um, that's actually impossible, because the mind will generate thoughts. But we can actually, with mindfulness, learn how to let go of thoughts that are unhelpful, or even question a thought like, is that thought really true? So it's not about emptying the mind, but relating more skillfully to what arises in the mind. Um, it's not a religious practice. While many meditative practices come from an ancient tradition, modern day meditation and mindfulness really is not mystical or religious or esoteric. So anyone can practice, basically. You can be mindful without even meditating. So, a mindfulness, just some of those qualities of being present as you're moving through the day. Um, Not always meditation or mindfulness doesn't mean that we're always going to feel calm and relaxed. However, there is a growing body of evidence that shows that these mindfulness based approaches can actually improve the emotional health of people with cancer. So, the studies report reductions in anxiety and depression, improvements in sleep disturbance, pain management. So it does have many benefits, even if we're not always feeling relaxed and calm. Um, you know, as this has become more popular, mindfulness and meditation, just to have a little bit of discernment when you see that this is going to be a quick fix or a cure for everything. And there are some circles that talk about meditation and mindfulness as being a selfish practice, but actually it's the opposite of that, because when we learn how to kind of calm and self-regulate our anxiety, then that actually ripples out to the people around us, and we feel more connected to the people that we're with, or to the world itself. So let's dive in and do our first practice. So if you look at the picture here, you'll see an anchor. So what does an anchor do? An anchor has a steadying quality. It steadies the ship. And we can use anchors in meditation or mindfulness to help to stabilize the mind, to bring the mind into the present moment. So an anchor could be a number of different things. It could be your breath or counting your breath. It could be a sound. It could be the repetition of a phrase. It could be imagining a peaceful image, or finding something in your environment that gives you kind of a feeling of being centered. So an anchor, we may need different anchors at different times, but let's give this a try. This is an anchor where we use here now as two sort of very anchoring words that will apply with the breath. So you might take a moment to just find a comfortable posture. Now, you don't necessarily need to close your eyes, although you could. And just invite your body to relax from top to bottom, softening any areas that you notice feel a little bit tense or a little bit tight. As your body comes into stillness, just tune into your breath as it moves in and out, not trying to change it or control it, but just kind of feeling the sensations of your body breathing in, breathing out. And then as you breathe in each time, just softly and silently say to yourself, here. And as you breathe out, just softly say to yourself, now. So this is kind of a mental repetition. Here as you breathe in, and now as you breathe out. So it's really very simple. So just continue to follow your breath and add the here and now anchor words. Let's just give that a try for a few moments. So it's normal for the mind to drift off. Remember, that's what the mind does, or to judge, to get distracted. And see if you can just redirect the focus of your attention back to your breath and back to the application of here, now. Keep it simple, very light touch. Here, now. I'm here, and this is now. And then, as a little bit of an experiment, you might, if your eyes have been closed, just have your eyes open and do the same thing. You can turn your gaze around your physical space and just continue to say to yourself, here, now. So this is a really simple strategy that we can take out into our daily life as a reminder to be here and now at a stoplight, in a waiting room, before we speak with someone, or anytime you want to bring your awareness back to the here and now, using these words kind of as an anchor, but knowing that you can sort of adapt this practice and use your own anchoring techniques. Thinking about, we're building a mental muscle here, reminding ourselves to come back to the here and now. So let's move on. So how do we actually become more present, more mindful? So there are two sort of ways to do it, and they actually complement each other. So the first is, starting a meditation practice. So that might simply be setting some time aside to sit quietly without the phone, without the TV on, without listening to music, without reading, just to kind of sit quietly and take time to be in the moment. You could also meditate, kind of using an app. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So there are lots of resources out there. You could join a class, or you could just kind of read a book about how to meditate and kind of apply that for yourself. Mindful movement is also a form of meditation. So something like Qigong or Tai Chi or yoga are all forms of mindful movement. And then there's also mindful living. So this is where we bring greater awareness to those everyday activities, like when we're connecting with others, when we're outside, when we're exercising, maybe even when we're folding laundry or preparing a meal. Driving is a really good activity to practice mindfulness, kind of being really fully present. So these are kind of ways that we can really strengthen our present moment awareness, meditation and mindful living kind of going together. Let's try a second strategy. So this one is a little bit different because it's body based. If you think about when you're feeling anxious or restless or impatient, we often get told, calm down. We don't ever say calm up. We say calm down. And that's because we're actually learning how to bring the energy down through the body. So there is sort of a grounding feeling to this technique. And there are lots of different grounding techniques. This is just one of them. And it's deceptively simple and it actually works really well. And it's something that you can take into daily life, maybe when you're waiting in line or in a waiting room, or just kind of anytime you feel a little bit anxious, so stressful moments. So again, wherever you are, just kind of shift your awareness to sitting in your chair and maybe take a slow breath in and out. Eyes could be open, they could soften a little bit. You could completely close your eyes. And you might, for this, just if you feel comfortable, bring to mind just something that's slightly stressful, something that's not something really activating, just something slightly stressful. Just kind of bring that to mind, just to try this practice on. And then start to shift the focus of your attention to the bottom of your right foot. Just feel the bottom of your right foot touching the ground. And then feel the bottom of your left foot touching the ground. Just notice any sensations in the bottom of your left foot. And then start to bring your full attention all the way down through your body, through your lower legs, into your feet, and feel your feet on the ground. Noticing any sensations of contact, of firmness, of steadiness, of support, perhaps. And you might even feel that you're pressing your feet a little bit firmly, more firmly down, and just imagining yourself rooting down into the ground, rooting your energy downwards, perhaps even appreciating the support and stability there. And then if your eyes were closed, you might just practice with your eyes open. Just your eyes are open. You're aware of where you are, but you're also feeling your feet on the ground, sort of grounding your energy downwards, calming your nervous system down. And just kind of notice any subtle benefit of that strategy. So it's a body-based grounding strategy. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at some of our common habits of mind. So have you noticed perhaps you've had a relatively good day, and yet at the end of the day, you start really kind of thinking more about the one thing that didn't go well, maybe replaying a tape of something you should have said or should have done. And we all do that. We're actually wired that way. But in actual fact, negative experiences tend to be really sticky. They're hard to let go of. And yet the ones that are more positive don't really stay. They kind of slide off like Teflon. So the good news is that with some of these mind body skills, we can build a little bit more awareness and mental flexibility so that we can actually cultivate a practice of looking for the good, appreciating the small things that actually are going well, or that we can appreciate moment to moment. And because whatever we practice, we actually get better at, and that's neuroplasticity. We can kind of strengthen these habits of mind by shifting the focus wherever we want to place our focus. So that leads us to our last skill that we'll be practicing. So again, we did kind of a mind-based practice with here now, a body-based practice with feet on the ground. This practice is more kind of a heart practice, a savoring practice. And I'll guide us through this briefly. So wherever you are, again, just kind of finding a comfortable position, maybe shifting your posture a little bit. Eyes could be soft and relaxed. You could close them. You can keep them open. Whatever settles you the best. And just take a moment once again to relax all the way down through your body from top to bottom. If it's helpful to connect with your breath in and out. And taking a moment just to bring to mind a recent enjoyable moment, something that you experienced recently. Just bring that to mind. Maybe it was spending time doing something that you really enjoyed, being outside, that first brew of coffee in the morning, or cuddling with a loved one or pet. Just take a moment to bring it to mind, just so that it's as vivid as you can in your awareness. A person or a pet that you feel really grateful for. Be someone who supports you, loves you unconditionally, is there for you. And just take a moment to feel the energy of this person or animal. Take a moment to appreciate them fully. Kind of savor the feeling of appreciation and connection with something and someone. Making space for these positive emotions that warm the heart to flow in. And just as when sort of brief moment to cultivate these positive emotions of connection and appreciation. You might take a couple of deep breaths, just appreciating the breath that nourishes and cleanses all our cells thousands of times a day. Just receiving each breath as a gift of life. If your eyes have been closed, just letting the eyes open, just reorienting yourself a little bit. So John Kabat-Zinn says that every moment is precious. Why not be present for more of them? And that is from his book, Wherever You Go, There You Are. And I have his book here. And it says that mindfulness wakes us up to the fact that our lives unfold only in moments. If we're not fully present for many of those moments, we may not only miss what is valuable in our lives, but also fail to realize the richness and the depth of our possibilities for growth and transformation. So, if you're looking to start a meditation practice, interested in mindfulness, you might want to join our weekly meditation class. It's on Zoom. Here are the registration details. It's every Wednesday at 12:15. Ideal for beginners or people who just want to meditate a group. There are also some great meditation apps out there. Insight Timer has mostly free material. There is some subscription, but you can access a lot of free material. There are other apps, Headspace, Calm, and Healthy Minds. So those are some suggestions for some apps. As part of the integrated medicine program, we have virtual gentle yoga, we have oncology massage, and we also have acupuncture. These are wonderful services that can really complement your medical treatment, help with symptom management. We have oncology trained providers. If you're interested in learning about those services, here is the information. You can reach out to us. And we have a little bit of time now for some questions, comments. Maybe there was a practice, a skill. We kind of went through them rather quickly, but maybe there was something you found to be helpful or something you think you might be able to really use in your daily life, very practical skills. So let's make a little bit of space for questions or feedback.
Thank you, Sharon. We do have some questions coming through. The first one is there a right or a best time of the day to meditate?
Mm. So that's a great question. So couple thoughts. There is no right and wrong. It's whatever your personal preference is. You know, what kind of day are you getting kids off to school? Do you have not much time in the morning? So really making it really practical. It is helpful to be consistent with the time of day. So if you choose a time, say it's before dinner, before bed, or in the morning, to try to keep it fairly consistent. Many people like to meditate first thing in the morning. I personally do it after coffee, but just because it sets the tone for the day. So, you know, there's no right or wrong. The morning can set the tone for the day, but it's got to be what works best for folks.
Thank you. And kind of to go along with that, as a beginner, how long should I meditate for? And how frequently should we meditate to feel the most benefits from it?
Mm, good questions. So consistency is better than length of time. So meditating for 5 minutes every day to begin is more helpful than once a week for half an hour. So thinking about developing a consistent practice, that's why some of these resources can be helpful. Um, I think the researchers showed that maybe between 15 and 20 minutes, this is what studies show people really start to feel the benefit. But as a beginner, I think I know for me, I started with smaller periods of time and then kind of lengthened that. And this is where having some guidance can be really helpful, whether it's through an app or a teacher. So consistency is better than duration, but building up maybe to 20 minutes.
Great, great. And then we have another question. I often hear people talk about daily affirmations. What is a take on that? And then what tips do you have to be consistent with that?
Yeah. So we all have different inclinations. And for some people, daily affirmations are really, really helpful and grounding. So, you know, this is affirmations or another kind of mind body strategy. So I would certainly suggest trying a daily affirmation or a daily intention that you can set at the beginning of your meditation or the beginning of your day, or maybe when you're journaling, you can write your affirmation for the day. So I think it can be very powerful for some people. We're all different. Um, so Louise Hay is, she has some books and some resources on affirmations.
We do have a comment from one of the audience members. I feel gratitude naturally happens during a lot of the practices you shared today.
Oh, that's great to hear that.
And then
Thank you.
another question, what type of music is best for meditation?
Hmm. That's a hard one to answer. Um, some people find music in the background that's sort of very quiet and gentle and sort of non-invasive to be really supportive for settling the body and mind. And then some people just prefer it to be quiet. They want to get rid of the noise. There's a lot of noise out in the world. And so we're kind of learning how to be comfortable with quiet, with silence. So I would, definitely explore what types of music good to have in the background, but also play a little bit with what's that like just to be quiet, to experience silence. We don't get very much of that, and it can be really uh, it can be quite calming in its own way. So exploring again, there's no right or wrong here. These are really great questions.
We have a couple more. Someone asks, are guided meditations as beneficial as meditating quietly?
Yes. uh, Meditation, sometimes having guidance can be really, really, really supportive, especially at the beginning. I used a lot of guided meditations. And then there's sometimes a point where the words sort of get in the way and you want less guidance. So it really is a sort of a scale where you might need different things at different times. So again, guided meditations are wonderful. And sometimes just a more quiet meditation can be really sort of um, grounding and healing as well.
Great. And I see one more. Any suggestions for people who may have trouble focusing to meditate?
Yeah, that's, I think everyone has that challenge. So that's not uncommon. And that's why some people think that their mind has to be relatively quiet to even begin to be a meditator. Um, so think about, you know, we go to a gym to build a physical muscle. We can also use meditation and mindfulness to build our mental muscle, our muscle of attention. So while at the beginning you may feel your mind is all over the place, with these types of anchors, like the anchor we did, or different kinds of anchors, you can actually train your mind to focus more. So it is a skill, it is a training, it is a practice. It doesn't come easily or quickly sometimes, but you are able, everyone has a capacity to train their mind. So that's the good news.
Thank you so much. I don't see any other questions coming at the moment, but those are all really great questions. Thank you so much, Sharon, for answering them. And thank you everyone in our audience for joining us today. We do these sessions every Tuesday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. on Zoom. So if you're interested in seeing our upcoming sessions, please visit moffitt.org/meet the experts to see our calendar for this month. So I just want to wish everyone a great rest of your day and thank you for being here. Take care, everybody.